I assume that all of you have been involved in adaptation of other people's work. How does the process differ between taking something of yours, a play that's really complete in some way, it's fully decorated, it's been experienced in its whole, as opposed to the experience perhaps of taking someone else's work where perhaps you sort of have to both honor it and destroy it to make it your own?
I have the dubious achievement of having written, I think, something like 26 unproduced screenplays.
You have?
Yeah, John, I have.
And these are screenplays that you've gotten paid for, been hired to write.
Yeah, yeah. You know, because even though my plays get produced, I need to subsidize the plays, and I've always had to subsidize the plays, and I've been fortunate enough to be hired to do these kinds of things. I've been pretty lucky in that the things that I have gotten to adapt, and most of what I've done has been adaptation, has been stuff that I've been excited about.
Like what?
I adapted Tom Wolfe's novel, A Man in Full. First as a two-part miniseries for NBC, and then they ditched it, and then HBO picked it up, and then they hired me to rewrite it as a movie, and then they didn't make it. But again, the material was exciting.
I remember once I went to a writer's house years and years ago. Was Ring Lardner Jr., and I was so excited to meet him. And I went into his house, and there were bookshelves, all these leather-bound scripts, and I said, "What are all those? What's all those leather-bound?" He said, "Oh, those are unproduced screenplays." And it was like, I looked at it, it was terrifying, because I said, "That's a life's work right there."
I've just adapted Jeffrey Eugenides' great novel Middlesex for HBO, and I don't have a green light on it yet, but they haven't killed it yet, so it might yet happen. But there's an example of a book that I really respected. You know, a huge sort of Whitman sampler of a novel. I mean, there are just so many strands of that book that you could pluck out. And I had a wonderful time just sort of shattering the book and then creating a new structure for it. So yes, I think that what I've done is faithful to it, but it's not the book. And that was a great challenge. I really loved doing that. It was like doing a great big puzzle.
And has Eugenides read the screenplay?
No, but we're still friends anyway. He has not read it yet.
I'd done a couple movies. One of them was an animated movie where I was hired to write something that was very Preston Sturges-esque, and I love Preston Sturges and love that sort of movie. And it was going to be, you know, a 1930s sort of animated movie about class differences and the haves and the have-nots, but family-friendly. And I wrote a script that was, I thought, really fun and terrific. And it then went to the studio. You know, the studios, there's the animation studio and then there's the big studio. So the animation studio was very excited about this idea, and we developed it together. And then it went to Fox. And then Fox said, "This movie is so 1930s, it's so Preston Sturges, why would we ever make that? Can you get rid of all the 1930s banter and all this class stuff and make it a movie that kids want to see?" And then I said, I'm good. So I left that movie, and it was turned into something completely different.
One of the first things happened, I was offered to take, Lanford Wilson has a brilliant Tally trilogy, Tally's Folly and 5th of July, and my agent asked me, Sam Cohn, he said, "I want you to have something great for you. I want you to do, to take the Lanford's 3 plays and make them into one screenplay." And I realized it was impossible, because Lanford's world was his world. Only he could do it. I mean, I have my sense, I love Lanford, but my sensibility is not his. And so I turned it down. I had a good experience on taking a really trashy thriller, and which had a good little plot, which had a good little twist in it. That was great fun to work on, because it was material that I had. The material had no respect for itself. I mean, yeah. And so it was fun. I had fun to play with. And the director, though, was sort of miffed. He said, "You know, I gave you a thriller to make, and you gave me back an F. Scott Fitzgerald novel. It took place on Long Island, and it was all about people wanting things and the way it got to be about the need, the need for the crime. The need became more important than the crime.
But the old axiom in Hollywood is B movies, B books or second-rate books make first-rate movies, I guess was the thing. But when you're taking something of your own, it's obviously first-rate.
Anyway, that was never made.
I was asked to adapt a book called Inkheart, which is a sort of Harry Potter-esque, you know, adventure for kids.
Yeah.
And I met with the author. The author was a part of the process, and she was one of the producers, and she was very excited about what I had to say, and I told her what I liked about her book. For me, the difference was I was actually much more respectful of her work than I was of my own work, because I knew not to be, I was less precious with my own work because I knew that I did it, so it wasn't really that special. But with her, I knew that some things worked, and I wanted to figure out why they worked, and I didn't want to wreck it because I knew there were millions of kids around the world that loved this book, and if it sucked, it was my fault.
Was it another animated film?
No. It was a live-action movie with Brendan Fraser and all sorts of people. But when I started writing it, the first draft, I was incredibly loyal to the book, and I did everything I said I was going to do, and I handed in the first draft, and the producers hated it. They hated it. And if I wasn't guaranteed a second draft, there was no doubt in my mind.
Why did they hate it?
Well, I'll tell you why. It was too close to the book. They went through and said, here's what we love. We love this, we want more of this, and we want more of that. And I said, but that's all the stuff that I made up. None of that's in the book. And they hated everything that was from the book. And it boggled my mind. I thought, why in the hell did they option this book if they had no interest in telling that story? And so they wanted to fire me, but they couldn't. I mean, they could have paid me off, I guess. But they said, do the second draft and try to deal with it. So very spitefully, I decided to write my version of the script. I said, okay, they want a Harry Potter-esque kind of movie. Let me make it my own. And so I did that. I totally reimagined it and spiked it up, and I thought the author is going to be really pissed. The first email I got was from the author of the book saying, oh my God, it's so wonderful. I love this part, and I wish this was in the book. And she went crazy over all this stuff that I had made up, which was very flattering and sweet. And suddenly the studio was in love with me again. They want to make this movie. So then we start making the movie. And everything that I had added, there's a lot of potential for magic in the book. The book is about this man that has the ability to read characters out of novels. So they come into our world. And so I put a lot of this magical stuff in it. And this is the stuff that they loved that I had added and stuff that I thought the kids would love. And that's what got the green light for the movie. And then over the course of the next year, all of that stuff slowly got pulled out of the script. They said, oh, you know what? The budget has gotten cut. We have to lose this special effect, and we can't have that magic, and we can't have that monster, and we have to cut all this stuff. And I said, oh, okay, but that's all the stuff that you loved. And then some more time went on, and they said, you know, we really want to play for younger kids. We want to make sure that the kids under 8 can come see it. And I said, but this is a very dark movie, and you loved all the darkness in it. And they said, yeah, we can't have that, so cut all of that. And so we cut all the magic, we cut all the wonder, we cut all the darkness, we cut all the stuff that I thought my son would love, because that's who I wrote the script for. I tried to write a movie that he would like. So by the time they went to production, I wasn't real thrilled about it, so I didn't want to be around on the set. I too got pages. They had then added a prologue, because they had put it in front of test audiences and they were confused. They had then added a very confusing epilogue that tied everything up, because I think they realized there's probably not going to be a sequel. So, because there were 3 books and we were doing the first book. So they then added on this epilogue, and they changed all the dialogue that I had written. Was your name
still on it?
And my name is the only name on it.
I don't get that.
It says, so I went to the premiere not knowing everything they had done, and I sat and watched it. And it was not a pleasant experience for me. And at the end, it says, a huge screenplay by David Lindsay-Abaire. And I thought, well, that's a lie. That is a lie. But whoever, because they brought somebody else they were shooting in Italy, someone came in and did all that rewriting.
In Italian.
It seems like maybe it was in Italian. Whoever that person was said, I don't need my name on it. That's good. I'm okay. So it was only... So people say, oh, I saw your movie, Inkheart. Well, it's not really my movie. Look, there's some parts of the movie that are great, and some parts that are terrific, other parts. But talking about adaptation, I tried to be very respectful of the writer, and it got, again, there were 7 people making 7 different movies, and no one wanted to make the one that I wanted to make, apparently.
The process of working for someone else is often so fraught with, as you were saying, such a confusion of messages and what the result is going to be.
Because it's all a successful production is when everybody's involved in telling the same story, whether it's on stage or in film. Louis Malle would have said, he said, you know, he said, it's only a nervous director that doesn't want the writer around. A confident director needs the writer around. And he said the immortal words when we were down in Atlantic City filming this film with Burt Lancaster and Susan Sarandon, and the producers, these French-Canadian producers, said, why are we paying the writers per diem? What is, I mean, what is he doing here? The script's already finished. And Louis said to me the immortal words, if you would pay somebody here to be for the word, if you would pay somebody to be here for the hair, would you not pay someone to be here for the words? and that I...
What about you guys, producers?
It's hard. You know, everybody wants to keep their jobs, it feels like. And you know, I've had good experiences, bad experience. I wish I had more experiences where the producer really just wanted to tell a good story. It's still shocking to me when you're getting notes about other things that are not about telling the story as well as you can. And you know, sometimes that's about demographics, sometimes, you know, we can't sell this, and things that I don't care about as a writer.
Sam Spiegel said the immortal words. He said, well, he said, you've done everything I've asked you to do, except if we make this movie, it is so depressing, the only place we can open it is Jonestown. So and he was...
Were you on his yacht at the time?
I will tell you about Sam Spiegel. I was so excited to be working with Sam Spiegel. I mean, you know, he said, I saw your play, Landscape of the Body, at the Public Theater. And he said, I haven't been so excited about a play since I had the same feeling I wanted to see Suddenly last summer off Broadway. And I felt there was a movie, a beautiful small movie. So I said, well, this is great. And I'd go to Sam's apartment every day in Park Avenue. It was filled with Cézannes. It was, you know, it was great. And he had this yacht, this famous yacht that he was talking about getting, you know, calling people, who, you know, when the yacht would be in the water and who would come and, you know, get that many crew and this big. And at that time, I was having a play opening on Broadway, and I said, Sam, I said, my play's opening on Broadway. Can Adele and I go on your yacht? He said, I will be very frank with you. If your play gets very good reviews, you will come on my yacht and you'll have a wonderful time. I said, if it gets bad reviews, he said, I'm saying you stay back here in New York. No invite. I don't have invites to flop plays. I said, well, Sam, my plays usually get mixed reviews.
What's gonna
happen? He said, then you can come on the dock and wave goodbye to us. And I love Sam for that. It was a great experience. He had it was a brilliant experience working with Sam Spiegel, believe it or not, because he had an absolutely hallucinatory story sense that with the way he would see to expand a story or open up or to take it in a new direction, that was rather fearless. And I loved work. We worked for about 9 or 10 months on it before I ended up in Jonestown. Does anybody know what Jonestown is anymore? It's something
I think they
dawns on.
probably
Yes,
do.
the place where all the adherents to Jim Jones took Kool-Aid and died. 900 people committed suicide and died. Anyway, that's Jonestown.